Hi, everyone. If you are watching this video, you are reading the new edition of Leading Impact Teams. I am here with Rhonda from Kennewick, and we were just chatting before we started the video. We've known each other since 2017 for sure, right?
For sure. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And we started working together when Rhonda was sixth grade ELA in history at a feeder middle school. And now, Rhonda, what is your role now, and what is your job moving forward this next school year?
So I just moved from being a reading specialist for 3rd through 5th graders to the learning facilitator for English language arts for the entire school. So I will be now working more with teachers and helping them, look at student work, analyze data, work as a PLC, create lessons, whatever they need, I'm there for them.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. So we're also here to really talk about the great MTSS work that Amistad did over the last couple of years. And I know we're actually growing the work as we speak, but you really made some really great impact when we made the decision as a leadership team at Amistad to start differentiating reading foundational skills instead of just teaching all kids the same thing at the same time. What do you think the impact has been since we've moved to the model? Because it was a beast.
It was a beast.
And I think we were all really afraid of it, me included. But we knew it was what the kids needed. What do you think the impact, what was the impact? Why do you think it's been working so well?
So when I took over the reading specialist job a couple of years ago, there was no set curriculum. They kind of just pulled things here and there, especially in the older grades. There was no strong way of tracking. The teacher had used like AR levels for grouping and things like that. And so the K-2 specialist started at the same time I did, and we thought this is not working. So we tried to, we spent the summer learning about best practices and best strategies for small reading groups for both the lower grades and the upper grades. And then we started working with a program that was very targeted, and it had a way to figure out what kids were doing at the very beginning and exactly what they needed. And it had progress monitoring all the way through. And once we did that, kids just started growing. And the best thing about it was we were needing intervention, but this past year, we also put every kid in a group. So they were able to get enrichment at their level too. So if they were already on grade level, they were reading novels. Just right at grade level or maybe just a little below, we put them in the leveled readers with our program, our curriculum. For that 45 minutes, every kid in our school got what they needed at their level. It was amazing.
That's kind of the message that we want to send when we're working with highly impacted schools where an RTI or MTSS pyramid is inverted. It's really hard to figure out how to intervene in any way because there's more kids that need the support than ever. And I know we're clearly year after year, we're working on strengthening the instructional core, is because kids are getting exactly what they need for 30 to 45 minutes every single day. And that means every single kid is getting what they need. We're reaching them at their zone of proximal development, and they are just flourishing.
They are.
How has that changed the attitude of the teachers getting this kind of success?
Everybody was reluctant to send their kids to reading groups. Either they were like, well, what are they going to do? Is it better if I just keep them? Are they going to go every day? Or they were in the thought of, I don't really know what to do with them because they're so much lower than the rest of my group. So just take them as much as you want. And so it was kind of two thoughts. But as soon as we started working on that sort of systematic program and monitoring the kids, they could see the progress, and they started to get really excited. And the other thing that happened was our paras who were teaching some of those groups were very excited because it was very simple to give them what they needed. And they thought for the first time they were making meaningful impact. And then the next thing that happened is the kids loved going to reading groups. And if they had to, get canceled for testing or because we had a late start or something like that because of a snow day, they were disappointed. And I had fifth graders who told their para, who was their teacher all year, I'm going to miss this. I don't want to go to middle school because I'm going to miss working with you. And that had never happened before. Fifth grade never loved reading groups.
So I think what's really different for everyone that's listening, we have grounded the work in what is called the science of reading. We did systematic instruction of phonemic awareness, phonics, and sight words. And it was really targeted and it moved to guided spelling every day. And we were able to assess and progress monitor those kids. What do you notice about outside of the kids being excited to do it? Do you see it actually having an impact back in the classroom? So it's one thing when they're in with their small group teacher and we did flexible groupings and we re-looked at the groups a few times of the year. But what impact did it have when they came back to the classroom? Did their classroom or homeroom teacher notice the impact?
Absolutely.
Was it not noticeable?
It was definitely noticeable. For the younger kids, they had the confidence that they could read because every day in their reading group, they had something they could read. And so they were able to go back to class and say, I'm a reader. And then they had tools and strategies for how to get to words that they might not know. And for the older kids, we worked more on syllabication and root words and prefixes and suffixes. And you could see them take these words that I know, because I worked with them the year before, I know they would have said, I can't read that. It's too big. I don't know those big words. And I could see those same kids, it just made me want to cry every time, break those words down and figure out how to read them using those syllabication tools. They were no longer afraid of words that, were 8, 10, 12 letters long because they knew how to put them in chunks. The teachers started saying right off the bat in the younger grades, I can see a difference. Most of the kids started to see, I can do this. I am a reader. And we had some still that struggled, but we just kept saying, it's a process. You're going to get it.
I feel like there's so many things that you're really saying right now. One, the relational trust that was grown across the school and trusting one another to support each other with kids, because
that's a big deal.
If all hands are on deck to support differentiation, we can differentiate more. Right. So that's one thing and then the confidence in the intervention. There is a great deal of confidence. So more people want it in. Right.
Yes.
Which eventually we're not going to need it anymore. That was our planning today. I think there's one thing that I'd like to talk about that I don't think is a story that gets told. We've been working with y'all. We started working during the pandemic. Yes. And I think there's one thing that people don't recognize is all of the decisions that we've made at Amistad. The teachers were involved in making those decisions. Can you tell everyone the power of shared decision-making and how that changes the school culture and climate when teachers actually get to make instructional decisions for the school?
So having worked at lower performing, low income schools my whole career, typically things are just given to you, handed to you. Here, you do this. And you get a little sort of training on it. And then it's not very good because it's usually more of a sales pitch than a training. Then they say, now go make it work. Yep. And you're left with a lot of questions. And then sometimes I've had to be in places where I had to actually on Friday write down the page of the teacher's manual where I left off, And so it's just very kind of stifling, right? Because you feel pressure to keep up with the pacing guide and you feel like you can't do what you know you should do as a teacher, as a professional. When we started working with you, and we started talking about what our students need, what our strengths are, where can we go next? And the teachers were able to voice all that. And you would come in and value their input and build on their strengths. They finally were like, wow, somebody's listening to us. Somebody is treating us like we're professionals, like we know what we're doing, and not just say, do this book that's supposed to fit everybody.
Yeah.
And, the district picks, every district I've ever worked in, they all pick things that are supposed to be good for everybody, but we all know one size doesn't fit all, and those never fit our students ever. Yeah. And so at first they were like, I don't know about this. What's happening? What is all this stuff? It's a lot of work, whatever. But this last year, I have seen them work together in ways that I have never seen before. And I have seen people jump on board who would not have been on board before. And it's very exciting. We just had some training this week, and the excitement in the room is amazing.
In this focus that we've done with Amistad, the district has been partnering with us, and we have talked to them about the importance of shared decision-making, and we have had support from the district in doing that. And it is showing that it is really paying off, because when you get to make the decisions about what you're doing every day, it does show that you have value. If we could kind of talk about, we changed the master schedule, and everyone had a heart attack because we had defined times for everything. And it was a little rough going the first couple of months of school. But what I was most proud about, it wasn't so much that, is when I came back in the fall, the openness and the vulnerability in everyone, and just being truthful about what didn't work, what did work. Mm-hmm. And literally, we made mid-course corrections in that day, and everyone left a little bit more satisfied. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because it wasn't easy in the beginning of the year.
I'll say they did think that master schedule was just handed to them, in the beginning, but they're like, okay, we're willing to try it. But, there was still some skepticism. But when you came back and asked them about it, and we had that time where we were able to air like the strengths and weaknesses of it, I think that they had realized that if it's not working, we're going to let you fix it. Yeah. And they knew that Julio, our principal, was going to let them fix it. They knew that you were going to help them find what was best for the solutions. And so I've been in so many meetings. I've been teaching almost 25 years, been in so many meetings where you're just like, well, I'm going to say what you want to hear and walk away knowing that it didn't really matter. And that is not the feeling that we have anymore. If we voice a concern, it's going to be heard.
We left that meeting and the year where teachers felt empowered that their voices would be heard, and we would do everything that we could within our power in a system to help and do anything that we could to make it easier for them to teach their kids.
This year, when we had to tweak the schedules a little bit. Every year you got to do a little bit. And we put in as a site council, so we had representatives from every grade level, every group of stakeholders. We put in some non-negotiable things, but because of all of this work, our principal felt like he could leave blocks of time where teachers can say, I need to do this here. At grade levels could. And that has never happened before. It wasn't dictated to them. They had a lot of flexibility. And so that also was empowering.
So what I'm really taking from this conversation is that when you give people autonomy to make decisions, it actually motivates them more. And then when you get some short-term wins, even from an intervention, it actually builds confidence. And so I think that's kind of what we're experiencing right now. And I think that's what we wanted to share with everyone that's watching this video today. So Rhonda, I am so glad that we met in 2017.
Me too.
And we are still working together to figure this out. And I am positive that we will continue to make improvements at your school. So thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime.